All right, let's talk about it. That invisible force that's basically running your online life. I'm talking about the algorithm, right? That super powerful code that's behind the scenes deciding what you see, maybe even what you think, every single time you unlock your phone. I mean, does it ever feel like your feed can literally read your mind? You're texting a friend about wanting potato salad, and boom, next thing you know, a recipe shows up on your feed, or you Google some random thing, and a few hours later, there's a video explaining it. It's kind of spooky, right? Feels like magic, but it's not. It's pure design. So, what's really going on here? How are they doing this?
Okay, so let's get right into it. The heart of every single social media platform is something we can call the engagement engine. So let's pop the hood on this thing and really see how it works.
So this is the brain of the whole operation. It's called a recommender algorithm, and you can just think of it like this super smart AI that's just watching you all the time, constantly learning from everything you do, every like, every share, even how long your eyes linger on a photo for just a fraction of a second. It's all data. And all that data gets fed into this massive system for one and only one reason. And that one goal, it's simply to keep you watching, to keep your eyes absolutely glued to that screen for as long as humanly possible. Look, the goal isn't necessarily to make you happy or even to make you smarter. It's just to maximize your time on the app. Because in this new economy, your attention, well, that's the real product being sold. But here's something you gotta understand. Not all engagement is created equal. Oh no. The algorithm has a very clear ranking system. A like? Yeah, that's the bare minimum. It's fine. A comment? Okay, now we're talking. That shows a much higher level of engagement. But a share? That is the holy grail. Why? It's simple, really. When you share something, you basically become a free marketer for the platform. You're doing their work for them, pulling your own friends and family into the system. So let's think about this. What's the logical conclusion when this engagement engine works perfectly? I mean, when you have a system that is literally designed to do nothing but feed you more and more of what you've already shown you like, well, you end up in a very specific kind of place. Now, you've probably heard people use two terms for this: filter bubble and echo chamber. And a lot of folks use them interchangeably, but they're actually a little different. Here's a good way to think about it. The filter bubble, that's the custom-built house the algorithm designs just for you. It's your unique little corner of the internet. The echo chamber, well, that's what happens when you're inside that house and the only voice you can hear is your own, just bouncing off the walls, getting louder and louder.
And this is where human psychology comes into play, because let's be honest, we're all kind of wired this way. We naturally want to find information that confirms what we already believe. It just feels good, right? It's called confirmation bias. And when an algorithm is built to exploit that natural tendency, it can lead to this phenomenon called group polarization. Basically, you get a bunch of like-minded people together, isolate them, and their shared views can become more and more extreme over time.
Okay, so this leads us to the biggest, most controversial question of all when it comes to these algorithms. Is this system just passively giving us more of what we want, or is it actively pushing us? Is it leading us down these digital rabbit holes towards more and more extreme stuff?
So here's the argument for the pushing theory. The idea is that the algorithm might have a natural bias towards extremism. And this isn't just a wild guess. A leaked memo from inside Facebook back in 2019 had this totally startling admission. Their own internal systems found that angry, inflammatory, divisive content is absolutely incredible for engagement. And we already know the number one rule of the algorithm, right? Whatever gets engagement gets boosted. But, and this is a really big but, it's super important to know that this is not a settled science. Not at all. This whole idea of an algorithmic radicalization pipeline, it's a powerful theory, for sure, but it's one that a lot of researchers have really pushed back on. In fact, a whole bunch of major studies have come to a pretty surprising conclusion. They've looked really closely at platforms like YouTube and found little to no evidence that the algorithm itself is what's pushing your average user toward far-right or other extreme content. What they found is that people often get there on their own, by subscribing to channels or clicking on links from other websites. So the takeaway here is this whole thing is way more complicated than it seems, and the science is definitely not settled.
Okay, so look, whether the algorithm is radicalizing people or not is still up for debate. But here's something that is absolutely 100% certain. This whole giant personalized engine, it runs on one thing, one incredibly valuable type of fuel. And that fuel is your data. Every single click, every search, every tiny interaction, it's like a drop of gasoline for this massive machine.
And here's the crazy part. How much of this fuel do you even realize you're giving away? A Pew Research study found something pretty mind-blowing. 74%, that's almost 3 out of every 4 Facebook users, had absolutely no clue that the platform was keeping this super detailed list of all their interests, just for ad targeting. And we are talking about way, way more than just what you like. Depending on what permissions you've clicked agree on, apps can collect some pretty wild stuff. We're talking about biometric data, like the shape of your face or your voice print. They can track your keystroke patterns, the unique rhythm of how you type. Some can even access your phone's clipboard, anything you've copied, even when the app is just running in the background. It's like leaving a digital fingerprint everywhere you go, and you don't even know you're doing it. So why should you care? What's the big deal? Well, because this data isn't just for selling you a new pair of sneakers. The whole Cambridge Analytica scandal was a massive wake-up call for everyone. It showed the world how this kind of personal data could be weaponized, basically. It was used to build these incredibly detailed psychological profiles on millions of voters and then hit them with hyper-targeted political ads that were designed to manipulate how they thought and ultimately how they voted. So, what do we do about all this? I mean, you can change your personal settings, sure, but that feels like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. This is a massive systemic problem, and that means it probably needs a systemic solution. And that's where we get into a huge, complicated legal debate. And at the center of that debate is this one little piece of U.S. law, Section 230. All you really need to know is this: it's basically a legal shield. It protects platforms like YouTube or X or Facebook from being sued over the stuff that their users post. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that without Section 230, social media as we know it today probably just wouldn't exist. Now, the debate over changing this law is a total minefield. On one side, you have critics saying that Section 230 gives these companies a free pass to profit from all sorts of harmful content without facing any consequences. But on the other side, you have people saying, whoa, hold on, if you get rid of it, you'll break the internet. The analogy people use is a library. Right now, platforms are just the library. They aren't responsible for what's written in the books on the shelves. If you weaken Section 230, they suddenly become the publisher, legally responsible for every single word. And the fear is that would force them to either censor everything or just stop moderating content completely to avoid getting sued into oblivion. And so that leaves us with this huge, central question of our digital lives, right? When we build an engine that is designed only for one thing, engagement, and that engine ends up having all these consequences, well, who's responsible? Is it the company that built the machine, the algorithm that runs it? Or is it us, the users, who keep feeding it our attention every single day? The real answer is probably a messy combination of all three. And figuring that out, that is one of the biggest challenges of our time.